So Joy Division's Heart and Soul from the album Closer, I believe it's a 1980 album, is pretty cool. It's got kind of this like weird go-go dancer drum beat from like almost the 70s, because we're only talking about, there's the Trinity River, and there's no go-karts tonight. We're only talking about, you know, a band that just barely came right out of the 70s, right into the 80s when they formed. They were pretty much in the 70s, but they formed in 1980. Possibly one of our best bands, Joy Division. It really is. I like them way better than New Order for sure. Not that New Order's not a bad band. New Order's actually, you know, they were huge in the 90s. But I just don't think they had the talent that Joy Division had. And boy, man, let me tell you, Joy Division would have been a great band to hang on to, but unfortunately Ian Curtis ended his life. Probably one of our most promising lyricist and musician. His lyrics weren't like, no man, we're gonna have to report that one. Let's see here. Go to Hazard. On road. Right about there. They weren't like the worst lyrics ever, you know. And they weren't really terribly complex. And then the music was just very genius and original. I'm just saying how originality is what I'm going on originality. All right, we got a cat out in the rain. Looks like an orange cat. Went behind that palm tree. Maybe an orange tabby. I'm just saying what I think it might be. He's right there. He's trying to get in that yard. Probably looking for maybe some overhang in the rain. Most likely he'll be okay as long as he stays in yards and stuff. Usually dogs will warn them. You know, if dogs are around, they'll just bark at them, they'll run. There's side yard entrance. You know, I mean, Hell's Kitchen was a good show. Why not a show about delivery, you know? There we go. Should be the entrance right there. All right, next delivery, 7:51. We'll be there at 16 minutes, 6.1 mile. Well, I'm still listening to Closer, 1980 album, Joy Division. One thing Ian Curtis did, I don't know if the band told him to do it, but they really laid down some really tight drum music, really awesome bass, some ambient sounds, sometimes keyboards would come in. He really waited a long time before he would come in, and he came in very awkward moments of the song, you know. Sometimes when the song would be quiet, he would wait a while before he would come in. It's kind of the European Jim Morrison. And then at times when the music would really explode and be very loud, he would also come in and have to really amp up the you know, the vocals, which he would scream at times. And he was really quite the dancer too. He would, you know, kind of flip out on stage to the point of almost going into an epileptic seizure, which he did do one time in one concert. I don't know, they just, you know, when I hear an original band like that, I really listen, you know, because I don't like the bands that kind of blend off another band, and you know, there's nothing wrong with that, you know. There are bands that'll sound exactly like another band. I'm not against it, but I really like when a band has their own distinct sound and music and melody, just like Joy Division. What another interesting fact about Joy Division was they're actually from the Manchester area called Salford. So they were from the same area the Smiths were from. And I was a big fan of the Smiths, so it must be something going on in the Manchester water that I like to listen to. Although Manchester, at the time when this music was being created, it looked like, almost like it was bombed out, you know, it was very desolate. This guy got stuck on the island right here. At first, he looked kind of like a photographer or something. Kind of some, you know, the kind of a life jacket looking thing. And he's kind of standing there. That right there has been, you know, he's not gonna be able to cross until that changes. But he's pretty much stuck right out there for a while. He's still hitting the button. Right off of Bailey, one of the 5 points. Ideally, this would probably be one of the 5 points here. Bailey's one of them. There's also another area down that way that's also 5 points, so it's debatable where the 5 point area is, if this was like, you know, Gangs of New York kind of thing, which every town is kind of, you know, in a way. There's always kind of like a 5 point thing. Even when I lived in Maine, up there in Guilford, they had a little 5 point area. You know, there's 5 different roads going in 5 different directions. It's kind of a weird thing, you know. Just like every time you come to like 4 roads, like a road that goes this way and then another, you know, it could be like a crossroads, you know, where you meet the devil to learn to be a better guitar player, kind of thing. You hear people talk about that. I don't know, I'm just, you know, just kind of talking about things. But this is like Casa, so there's still, yeah, there's still kind of there. It's not like really, not real heavy traffic for the stockyards. I figured there'd be at least a little more, you know, a little bit here and there. People bringing in their cows, you know, to show cattle and swine, you know, to show swine. Maybe sell certain Choctaws advertised right over that way. Just keep on going through, like Trail Drive is what they call it. They've been doing it for years. It's a rainy night for the stock show. Oh, there's the Fort Worth Zoo over that way. There's the iguana right there. Surprisingly enough, the Joy Division and the Smiths, they do sound similar. Although Morrissey's voice is nothing like Ian Curtis, nowhere in the ballpark figure, but their band sounds, in some ways, their drumming and stuff sound a little bit similar. I think Ian Curtis was far more goth, and Morrissey was more like poetic and, you know, Yeats and Keats, you know, Cemetery Gates kind of thing. But they both kind of have a little bit of touch of goth. The Smiths, not a whole lot, but the fact that, you know, he did sing about Cemetery Gates. That was Stephen Patrick Morrissey that sang about that. But Ian Curtis mostly sang like about the spirit, you know, and dark side of things, you know, dark existing, gothic kind of nature. While I guess maybe the Smiths sang about, you know, British playwrights and lost love and things like that, and kind of speaking from the point of a poet. And both aspects, they were both kind of poets. One was making a statement about gothic nature. The other one was making a statement about British literature. When it comes to cinema, I would say, you know, even though the Smiths, they have been used in like 500 Days of Summer movie with Jason Gordon-Levitt, or whatever his name is, Joseph Gordon-Levitt. I would say Joy Division probably has more of a thematic sound for film, in my opinion. The Smiths are more of a standalone band. They're more about, I think, the music, but I think Joy Division was very much about the music. I just think that it fits more into like cinema, my opinion. But the Smiths are good, you know. It'd be hard to put Smith songs to cinema. At least it's about love and romance, and then maybe, you know, like 500 Days of Summer, it worked. But I think Joy Division works in a lot of different aspects of cinema. Also, I'd say Joy Division could be used more in like the club sequences, or, you know, club, maybe in the movies where there's club scenes, or maybe just if you're at a club. The Smiths you can, but like I said, the Smiths they're a distinct kind of sound where it's more for just kind of listening for some reason. You can kind of dance to the Smiths a little bit, not like you could to Joy Division, but it would be kind of maybe a little bit awkward dancing, just because of how their lifts and builds are, and they're more of, to me it seems like the Smiths are more for like listening to, you know, and maybe cheering or jumping up on stage or something. With Joy Division you could probably even dance to it, you know. There's a difference between the two bands. So yeah, TCU began, if I'm not mistaken, 1873, according to that right there. Somewhere in this area, I don't really know exactly where, but it's been around. Ooh. It's a pretty well-known tone used in areas like TCU and other campuses. It's not original music or anything like that. It's been used, meaning the tone from the clock tower. It's been used by many other clock towers. And you're all the way from Arkansas. Here comes an Uber right next to us right here. Someone lifted off their career in the transportation business. They're using a little Chevrolet right there. Nice. Nice. You help those rich people. Now, the version of Joy Division's Closer album that I'm listening to right now, there's a remastered version of it's remastered in 2020, and it's called The Eternal, and it starts off very ambient, very cinematic. I mean, it's really cool. So check it out, Joy Division's Closer album. They just remastered that song, The Eternal, in 2020. All right, next delivery is 8:24, 3 minutes, 1.5 miles. Should be that one right across from Sherwood. driveway, level that driveway out. Well, that steep hill right there didn't really help a whole lot. I don't know. All right, next delivery is 8:47, 6 minutes, 2.3 miles. All right, so this will probably go under like talking about Joy Division's Closer album in the rain or something in Fort Worth. Anyway, so The Eternal is a sadder song than most of all the other songs on the album, and you really kind of get the idea that the Europeans can really master the English language when writing lyrics. They're not just like colloquial speech, but it sounds almost like verse. He uses the word, I think the word's like, one of the words is like pray something, you know. But you have to look at the lyrics on The Eternal. It's almost like British literature, really. Ian Curtis. He's a very, very good writer, very smart. He looked up to David Bowie, supposedly. This statue right here was the first deputy of Fort Worth. Right here. And he basically looked up to, I guess maybe he liked the Sex Pistols, I don't know. They started right after they saw the Sex Pistols, but they don't really have a Sex Pistol sound. That was more colloquial speech, you know, Norma Day's speech, you know. They used curse language and stuff like that. I don't know if Joy Division really did. They were more kind of like the Smiths, where they were respectable with language. And, you know, even though Morrissey used more nonverbals, you know. Some say that Stephen Patrick Morrissey was the greatest lyricist of all time, and that's what some of the people believe. But I think, you know, I think Ian Curtis certainly was up there with lyrics that kind of mimicked a little bit like Kurt Cobain a little bit, you know. They were kind of curt, to the point, nothing too fancy. But the song The Eternal does sound more kind of poetic and everything. I'll have to review those lyrics before I do a full official review of that song. But it is good, though. And then I'm going to move on to the next song. I think it's called Decades, which is the last song on Closer, 1980, Joy Division. That's Decades was the last song on Closer, 1980, Joy Division album. Decades. So immediately Decades comes out with kind of like drumming, and then they bring in the synthesizers. It's very heavy on the synthesizers at the beginning, which brings that very post-punk alternative sound. Which they use synthesizers quite a bit, mixing in with the punk a little bit. Another great song too that it makes really good use of the cymbals and the bass coming in very quietly is on another album of Joy Division known as Unknown Pleasures. And it's the song Shadow Play. It's actually just comes in very quietly, and it's a lot of bass, and then it has the cymbals going. And also the vocals are quite nice too. I'll have to look up the lyrics later. You know, from listening to Ian Curtis's music from Joy Division, it seems like he wanted his music to go on forever. He used the word forever quite a bit in a lot of his lyrics and stuff. Like, you know, it was like this ceremony or some kind of thing that would go on for like all of time, like in his mind. Pretty crazy. All right, next delivery will arrive at 10:28, 9 minutes, 4 miles. So tomorrow we'll probably be talking about the album Unknown Pleasures with Joy Division. The cover art was actually created by a guy named Peter Saville. It's Saville. He did a lot of stuff for what's known as Factory Records, and this was done in 1979. He came up with the graphic design for Unknown Pleasure. It kind of looks like a mountain, or like a valley or something. It's almost like, it looks almost kind of like maybe what the sound was making, you know, like the sound made certain type of, you know, it was like it looked almost like a topical map kind of thing, but it was black and white, and it was, anyway, it's what Joy Division used, but they didn't come up with the design. So it was Peter Seville. He came up with many different graphic design. He was an art director, so he either talked them into it or showed it to them, and they were like, yeah, sure, we can use that for the sleeve. It's for the sleeve of the record. That was a 1979 thing. And I guess Closer would have been the next year, 1980, and that would be the year that Ian Curtis would no longer be around, because of those things that you hang clothing, you hang clothing on. Also, what's interesting about Katharine Hepburn is her brother was found hanging too. They said that was an accidental joke, though, but her brother was being funny. He was older, he was 15 at the time. Their father had taught him some kind of magic trick, and it went wrong, and he was doing it on his own, and Katharine Hepburn found her brother that way. But it wasn't a mistake with Ian Curtis. He certainly ended his life. It was done on this thing where you hang clothing, it springs upward, and it can pull clothing up, like in the kitchen, because they didn't have a dryer. So he just put a rope around that, and that was good to go. You know, it put it around his neck and hit the lever and pulled him upward. He was listening to Iggy Pop, or it was on a record player. I think it took the needle off of it, but it was called The Idiot. It's like it is making some kind of statement. Very strange. Anyway. Alright, so we'll talk about Unknown Pleasure tomorrow. It's also a Joy Division album, which is an earlier album and probably maybe a little more active and more commercial. The songs are far more popular. Transmissions on it, and a lot of other great songs. Just one last thing, I want to say Unknown Pleasures, 1979 Joy Division. I think it might be their best album, because originally. There's Katie. Hello.
Hey, how are you, sweetheart?
How's it going?
How's your mom?
Oh, in Maine. Did you get fed?
Say hi to your mom.
Oh, what's she talking about? Oh, hi, Mom. You're on the Please Subscribe show.
Good, hi.
How's it going?
You used to me about the glitter. Remember my mom didn't like me with glitter.
What did she say?
Glitter things are pretty, yeah.
What'd you say, Mom?
Things I saw.
Valentine's Day, she made a box and she made it fourth grade. Yeah.
Oatmeal box. Because they're shaped kind of like a windmill. You know, they're round. They still make them in the oatmeal box like that. You know what I'm talking about?
Valentine's Day. Made a little box for all the kids to put Valentine's Day cards in.
What do you call that shape? A cylinder? Kind of a cylinder shape. So
It's a cylinder shape.
Yeah.
Of what?
A Valentine's Day box.
Valentine boxes for.
I thought they were like a heart
She put a
shape.
windmill. No, she made a cylinder. It's like 6 inches high, 6 inches round, and it's a cylinder.
All right, we'll talk about it later. Something to do with the cylinder. Where's Kitty? Hey, Kitty. What's going on?
No,
Did you want food?
Litter. So it was,
Come on.
oh no, because they got it right here.
Come on. We'll get you a new bowl. Looks like mommy left you out some fancy feast. We're gonna make sure we don't have leftovers. Oh boy. All right. So we're getting salad. Oh wait, we've got your favorite, Edmund. Fancy feast. Okay. This is the pink one. I kind of got it open. I'm giving. I know. I saw. That's fine. I'll eat the salad. It's fine.
It's perfect.
Yeah, it looks good. Oh man, almost. I almost got it.
Almost got what?
It's cat food. Here we can. I know. Not right now. Not right now. Not right now.
Fires.
All right. Just give me a second.
Don't worry about me.
All right. Here we go. Here we go, Edmund. There you go. Y'all have a good night from the Please
Have a
Subscribe
good
Show.
night. Look up, and you do not want to step on line before the guy goes boom, and then you go. 200-meter dash was my shit. 100-meter dash.
So that's Trip and Daisy?
Yeah,
I ate dinner with the mom of the drummer. So he now lives in Austin, and the drummer, and he works at a juice bar. But his mom and my second wife, we all ate Mexican food together. Of the mother of the drummer, the Trip and Daisy.